Hello and welcome. You're listening to Start Again with Shaunna Lee, sponsored by Soulway Massage. This is the place where you'll be reminded that it's never too late and you're never too old to do the damn thing. So stick around if you're ready to vibe higher and be inspired to chase your dreams. Together, we will uncover your soul's truest desires. Now, if you're ready, let's get started. Well, hello everyone and happy Halloween. Listen, I don't know about you guys, but while I have loved Love Month and it has been super fun to have these conversations, this time of year is a wee bit stressful. You know, we're trying to squeeze in all the things. And if you guys are a working parent like I am, and you're trying to figure out how to do freaking trick-or-treating on a work night, a school night, let me tell you, I'm also in that state of, wait, how many hours do I have in the day? So I thought today was a perfect day to talk about this state that I find myself in often, that I am just now figuring out how to shift out of faster. And that is this overwhelm, super chaotic, always stressed the fuck out kind of mental headspace. What I can tell you is I have spent many, many years in survival mode. And what I have done recently is shift into this concept of thriving, right? And this is what I help you guys figure out for yourselves in all my courses or anything that I'm teaching or any offer that I've got going on. But I wanted to talk to you today about a really specific strategy that can help you shift faster. So I find that because I have personally lived in survival mode most of my life, that it really doesn't matter what the current circumstances. I find myself in that comfort zone of being stressed out. And it's not to say it's comfortable, because it's not, and it's miserable, and I become grouchy, and I'm not super fun to be around. And what I have recently discovered is that it is just a comfort zone. And that's where I fall back in very easily if I'm not intentional about not doing that. So much like I'm sure most of you, I found myself in this state once again. And it was specifically around work for me. So sometimes it's kids, sometimes it's personal relationships, sometimes it's work. For me, this particular instance was work. Newsflash, being an entrepreneur is a wee bit stressful. And so, especially if you are trying to do everything on your own and don't have a team of people helping you, it becomes a little chaotic at times. And it's easy to fall into that survival mode state of being overwhelmed. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that because I have lived my life this way, that perhaps some of you can relate. So here's my strategy that I wanted to share with you today. It is a 3-step process. It makes it easy. I love to take complicated concepts and make them really easy. So here is my strategy. Step 1. You have to move the energy. Now, listen, this is going to be really fucking ironic coming from me because I hate to exercise. I have been the queen of excuses not to exercise my whole life. And what's crazy about that is there have been times when I was pretty religiously going to the gym on a regular basis. I have done weight training. I have done my share of cardio. My God, yes, we do the cardio. I suffer through walks around the neighborhood with my friends. I love yoga. I love Pilates. Never do them. And anyways, so it is not lost on me that this is really funny that I'm telling you guys this is the step 1 to get out of that stress out mode. But when we move our body, it moves the energy. And I'll tell you, I was in this state of like, what the fuck am I doing? And I meditated, and this was what I heard. Move your body, move the energy out. And so I, all by myself, went for a walk around the neighborhood, and it was a short walk. It doesn't have to be long, but it was just enough to kind of get things moving. And by things, I mean the energy. I mean the stress that holds a vibration, and we need to be able to get it out of our bodies. And so, in whatever way works for you, in whatever way is the most fun for you, I would recommend move your body. And if you do love to exercise, that's amazing. I do not. And so a quick little walk around the block was about all I could muster that day, and it worked. So by the time I got back from the walk, I was able to say, okay, the fog has cleared a wee bit. And then I did step 2. And that was actually, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So in these survival mode, stressed out periods of my life, I find myself having insomnia, and I sleep really well now, but I used to, for years and years, wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to go back to sleep for, several hours. And then I would go back to sleep finally right before my alarm was going to go off. So then I wake up and I'm groggy and grouchy. It was a whole cycle. It was super fun. I don't recommend it. 1 star. Do not recommend. Anyways, during this period in my life where I was having lots and lots of insomnia, I learned this trick, and it did help. And that is, whatever your mind is racing through or thinking about or compulsively latched onto or worried about, just write it down. And so I would keep a pad of paper by my bed, and I would just jot down the different things, whether it was a conversation I needed to have and a phrase that I wanted to be sure I didn't forget, or it was items on the grocery list, or something that needed to go on the calendar, or what I needed to buy for the kids, or whatever the thing was. Generally, it was stress in relationships and not really stress about work, but sometimes it was work. So then I would just write down, don't forget that, reach out to that person, or whatever the thing was. When you go through the act of writing it all down, it does a couple things. 1, it gets it out of your head. And 2, it reassures yourself that you're not going to forget, because a lot of times I would think, oh gosh, if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget. Or if I would just sit there and spin around all the different ways because I was just trying not to forget the thing. But when I wrote it down, I knew, okay, it'll be there for me tomorrow morning. And it did really work for me to be able to then fall asleep faster. So I took that same concept, and that is step 2 of this strategy that I'm walking you through today. So write down all the shit you have to do, literally all the different tiny details. And it doesn't matter if it's for work or personal or both. Birthday presents you need to buy, snacks for school, work items, write it all down, and then walk away from it. Just write it all down. It's kind of like you're going back to sleep. But then what I did was step 3, I went and meditated. And I'm going to walk you through this visualization that I learned recently, and it is gold. So, this inner critic that we all have, this really mean girl voice in our minds that say things to us that we would never in 100 years say to anybody else, but much less like never say to a child. I highly recommend naming your critic. Now, mine doesn't have a name yet because I haven't found one that I don't like enough to use. But I have started after this visualization to kind of think of this inner critic as this little goblin that lives in my mind. So I just kind of refer to it as the goblin because it's just this really ugly inner critic voice that gets in the way. And usually when I am in that state of being stressed out or overwhelmed, things feel chaotic. It's because that inner critic, it's because the little goblin is in like a hyperactive mode and won't shut the fuck up. So the visualization, I'm going to try to summarize it for you, but it allows you to remove that from you and kind of set it aside. So the visualization was that we're all sitting there and we are visualizing, imagining what that particular inner voice looks like. Whether you create a creature out of it or you are visualizing that it is a certain texture or color. You want to visualize a physical representation of that inner critic. And for me, it was kind of like a little goblin. And this is why it's perfect for Halloween, because it's that time of year when we have little monster costumes and all the scary things are in the yard. So it's easy for us to kind of picture or visualize this little goblin. And so we imagine that that is inside our mind or us. And then we visualize pulling that away from us. And you see it right in front of you standing there. And then imagine that it becomes less of a entity and more of a costume that we have just removed. We are taking the costume off and we're going to go hang it on a hook in the room. And you visualize kind of the costume hanging there and all of the inner critic, mean girl voice in your mind has been removed and is in that costume. And so this particular visualization, and you just walk through little by little, step by step, kind of what it looks like, what it feels like. What does it feel like when it is removed from your body? What does it feel like to just kind of see it hanging on the wall? And you are just separating it from you. And this meditation has the ability to clear away the gunk, so to speak. So we've moved the energy by exercising, then we removed the noise by writing it all down, and now we've removed the feelings associated with that by visualizing this goblin, this costume kind of hanging on the wall. So there, from that space, after the 1, 2, 3, you can then go back to your list with a clear mind. And this is when you can go through and remove items that don't need to be there. You can delegate the things you don't want to do or the ones you're not good at. Being able to look at it with different eyes and a clearer mind will give you a different perspective. I guarantee it will help you feel better. And it will allow you to focus on what is really important and help you prioritize where your effort needs to be focused. For me, when I was looking at my list of entrepreneur responsibilities, it allowed me to then realize there were ways that I could be supported better by delegating to people who had offered to help. And I was merely making excuses to keep myself in that old pattern, in that comfort zone of being stressed out when I don't actually want to be there. And so I'm going to give you permission to do the same thing. And that is to step away, clear your mind, get a new perspective, and revisit what it is that's really on your plate and what do you want to be there and what do you not want to be there. So one of the mantras I've been using for a long, long time now is let it be easy and fun. And so anytime I'm looking at a list of things I don't want to do or feel responsible for or blah, 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 what I will do is say, is there an easier way? Is there a way for this list of items to get done easier than me struggling my way through doing it all by myself? Generally, the answer is yes, let people help you, Shaunna. So I'll tell you, it's probably true for you too. But a lot of times when we use that let it be easy and fun concept, it lets us visualize an easier way, a simpler way. A lot of times we can just overthink things and make it more difficult than it needs to be. And in some cases, you can actually do all the things yourself, but maybe there's an easier way that you can do 1 or 3 of them than you were originally thinking. So when we do the 1, 2, 3 method that I just talked through, move your energy, write it all down, and then meditate, it allows you to clear the noise and then get that new perspective that you need to look at the list and say, okay, how am I going to prioritize what really needs to be done? How am I going to allow myself to be supported? And how am I letting it be easier and more fun than originally I was looking at it? So that is my 1, 2, 3 strategy to help you get out of that stressed out mindset. Hopefully that was helpful for you. I am super anxious to hear. So listen, this podcast, sometimes it feels like I'm talking to a black hole. I would love to get feedback from you guys. I would love to hear firsthand the episodes you like, the strategies that have helped. Share these with your friends, obviously, because we're trying to grow a podcast here, but I would love for you to engage with me directly. So whether you are on my email list and you want to reply, or you are following me on social media and you want to send me a DM, or the best way, if you want to leave a review on the podcast itself, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, I welcome that feedback and I can't wait to hear it and read it. So there you go. Until next time, my friends. Did you like this episode or did you love it? Inquiring minds want to know. The best way to support this show is to subscribe and leave a review. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.